Okay, brothers and sisters, I hope you don't mind giving this brother another round of applause. When I come out here, I don't mind hearing any of his joints, anytime, any place, especially on the Sabbath day. But particularly that brother, it been a minute, right? He got you. I need, at least for me, I expect greatness out the brother because he showed greatness, and everything the Lord do is great. And to see this brother taking that gift that he's got, and man, you've been cooking that one up in the laboratory, but that was worth every second right there, brother. That was worth every second to enjoy that right there, brother. That's gonna. Well, we like you said, you're gonna let us soak that one in before we put the playlist together. Which one you done came with? But definitely that was some that was next level right there from what you produced already, my brother.
Thank you.
And man, he make it rough, boy, to come in here with this word. But I know that's what we're here for, to read this book. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. First off, I'd like to say grace, peace, and mercy from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Peace to all my brothers and sisters. Only got three, Anna here, so we got some sisters here. Mm-hmm. And we got our brothers up in here. Peace to everybody that made it safely here today. It's always a blessing to stand before God's people on this holy Sabbath day with understanding and knowing what direction we going and what the book says and what he requires of us. And we're going to do what we usually do, which is have this fellowship and read God's word here today. The title of today's lesson is, it should have been to honor the Son even as... It should have been to honor the Son even as... Here, maybe I butchered it. And it ain't Debbie's fault, that's for sure. It's pretty much to honor the Son as you honor the Father is really what the title should say. To honor the Son even as you honor the Father. So if you guys get a chance to hit that little typo that I got on there, let me see. I think I got this still off. We're going to read it here shortly, so it'll correct itself to make sure that I got it right. But even if we just had honor the Son even as you honor the Father, that would have worked too. I got on here to honor the Son even as they honor the Father. I guess it might have been. Maybe that's what it says. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and get started. Being that we got our Bibles in our hand, I'm pretty sure you can get from the title of the lesson where we're going with this. I'm going to read the notes from last time. I told them I'm going to go ahead because they pretty, I think they pretty appropriate. We now live in a time where you have different religions that Satan uses to downplay who the Jesus of the Bible is. And we want to make sure our foundation is solid, brothers and sisters, on knowing who Christ is, so we recognize exactly who we're dealing with, brothers and sisters. That's real important. We want to know exactly who we're dealing with when we're reading about Christ or we're reading about the Father or those in the Bible that claim to have deity, right? And we know that that's where the word God comes from, right? So because if you had a wrong idea of who Jesus is, you won't give him the full credit that he deserves for everything that he teached. Not just what we teach, everything that he teached. And he's not going to be pleased with those who choose to discredit who he is, brothers and sisters. So it's our job as servants of God to make known and declare who Jesus is. So that's pretty much it. We're going to go ahead and get started. The title once again, to honor the Son even as you honor the Father. That's even good enough right there. So we're going to start off in Proverbs chapter 30. Proverbs chapter 30. We ain't going to touch too much. I touched on the fact that Satan uses religions to discredit who Jesus is or to teach different ideas or different identities on who Jesus is. So we're going to try and get it right from the Bible. And we're going to look at some scriptures in a different light this is a lesson pretty much. At the end of the day, it's, we want to ascribe to who Christ is. Proverbs 30, we're going to pick it up at verse 1, actually, and we're going to read down into verse 4. Proverbs 30, we're going to pick it up at verse 1. When you get there, brother, go ahead.
The words of Agur, the son of Jakeh, even the prophecy, the man spake unto Ithael, even unto Ithael and Nukal. Surely I am more brutish than any man, and have not the understanding of a man. I neither learn wisdom, nor have the knowledge of the holy. Who hath ascended up into heaven, or descended? Who have gathered the wind in his fist? Who have bound the waters in a garment? Who have established all the ends of the earth? What is his name? And what is his son's name, if thou canst tell?
If you can tell. So we read right off the bat, whoever this is, because, it's kind of different. Most people know that Proverbs is written by Solomon, right? I don't know who this is right here coming in at the end of Proverbs, but it says the words of Agur, the son of Jacob, even the prophecy. So he telling us, something that, wasn't quite readily known to everybody. And then it says the man spake unto Ithael, or even unto Ithael and Ukal. He say, surely I'm more brutish than any man, right? And have not the understanding of a man. So he's kind of like letting it be known, like, I'm not like no Bible theologian or anything like that. I'm not real familiar with a lot when it comes to having understanding of things. I neither learn wisdom. That's interesting, right? Nor do I have the knowledge of the holy. Mm-hmm. So we could probably, from just reading that, be like, well, man, maybe he's not qualified or got the credentials to even speak up on this, right? But regardless of that, he did speak up. We're going to read what he had to say here in verse 4. Read verse 4. What did he say after he said, I ain't got no knowledge, I ain't got no wisdom of the holy, but what?
Who hath ascended up into heaven, or descended?
He asked the question, who done went up to heaven, or who done came down from heaven? Go ahead.
Who hath gathered the wind in his fist? Who hath bound the waters in a garment? Who hath established all the ends of the earth? What is his name? And what is his son's name, if thou canst tell?
So that's about 4 or 5 questions right there, right? We've all probably read this. If you weren't into the Bible before you got into the Bible, this probably was a chapter maybe you looked over. But it's an Old Testament witness to who we got two, if nothing else, we got 2 individuals here, some say 2 beings here. One thing's for sure, the attributes that we're reading about, man can't hold wind in his fist, huh? Mm-hmm. If it's talking about who's established all the ends of the earth, what is his name? What is his son's name? Can you tell me who it is? Mm-hmm. So we're going to go further. We're going to go to a New Testament witness. We're going to go to John chapter 1. John chapter 1, one of the most, I guess you would say, I don't know, I won't call it controversial, but I know I've seen this twisted up in more than one Bible, brothers and sisters. If you ever want to do some homework, read John chapter 1 and you'll find all type of Bibles that say something a little different. And when you say, when things are a little different in the Bible, you got to watch it because it could take away from its context. It could take away from its meaning. It could take away from the understanding that God is trying to give us. So we reading out of the King James, of course. Let's see what it says here. It asks us a question right there, right? It says, what is the person's name who laid the foundations? And what's his son's name? Let's see if we get some more information here. John chapter 1, we're going to read 1 through 3 and then skip down to 10. Go ahead.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made.
So we still dealing with 2 here, right? In the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. In the King James, you don't have to try and figure out what it's saying here, right? Mm-hmm. It's clearly saying some prominent things about an individual being with God, him being there in the beginning with God. And then it even says that this one that was in the beginning with God also was God. Is that what we're getting from verse 1, brothers and sisters? Mm-hmm. According to what this Bible says, right? Because that's the only one that we ascribe to. And when I say ascribe to, this is the one we teach out of. And if any other Bible is going to if we're going to study out of another Bible, it would have to ascribe and teach the same thing, or something's gone awry there, right, in the translation, or, it's a lot of things can be tinkered with. And, some people have accused this of being tinkered with. That King James and them translations weren't accurate. But according to what we're reading here, it's pretty plain. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God, right? All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. So we're getting some answers to that question in Proverbs, right? That you got some people involved in this. Skip down to verse 10.
He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not.
Who that's talking about? Got to be talking about this word, right?
Yeah.
He was in the world, verse 14.
And the word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth.
So we got mention of a father here, right? First, we read about in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. We don't like to assume anything around here, but according to what we know about Christ, just in terms of the terms that are mostly used for him in the New Testament, and they're used in the Old Testament as well, because we just read one. The one being here in verse 14, it says, we beheld the glory of the Word who became a man or was made flesh. He dwelt among us. The glory as the only begotten of the who, Brother Dre?
Of the Father.
Of the Father. So it's safe to say that that's God in verse 1,
Yep.
chapter 1, right? Mm-hmm. That's not a stretch for me to go there. Full of grace and truth. Let's go further. Let's go to 1 John now. 1 John, because as I mentioned, unfortunately, the world doesn't ascribe to that line of thinking on who Christ is. Anytime you come up and your whole objective is to write a Bible to discredit what was written, I guess I say in the King James, because the King James came before a New World Translation, right? It came before an NIV. It came before you throw out some other ones, right, if you like. Bottom line is their understanding or their translation came after the King James was translated. And obviously they felt something was lacking in what John 1:1 says when you have something that says something different. You could do that homework on your own. We don't got time to read what they got written in that Bible. Not today, at least. We running late. 1 John chapter 4. We're going to read 1 through 3, and then we're going to read verse 9. So let's see if the Bible is corroborating all these things, brothers and sisters. Because this is going to kind of veer a little bit, but it's going to stay on point. It's going to stay on topic. 1 John chapter 4. Pick it up at verse 1, Dre. Go ahead.
Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, where they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world.
See, that's almost a warning. Like Jesus said, beware of what? False prophets, right? This is pretty much John, who walked with Christ on the same page. Beloved, don't believe everything, right? Don't believe me, brothers and sisters. Don't believe and believe me. I have to be searched out, right? It says, but try the spirits. Try what Brother Jay is saying. Try what any one of his teachers is saying. Try what your family is saying about who Christ is, who God is, right? The title is to honor the Son even as you honor the Father. Try that. You have to know if that's so. But it says, but try the spirits, whether they be of who? Of God. Because many false prophets are gone out into the world. This is a reality and truth. You have to accept, brothers and sisters, if you're going to be a servant of God, if you ignore that latter part of that scripture right there, you're going to be deceived. It ain't no other way of getting around it. If you don't know that Satan got an army of false prophets out here, and the truth and the ministers of God are in the minority. Right. Verse 2, Brother Dre, go ahead.
Hereby know ye the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesseth that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God.
One more time.
Hereby know ye the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesseth that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God.
Come on.
And every spirit that confesseth not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is not of God. And this is that spirit of the Antichrist, whereof ye have heard that it shall come. and even now already is it in the world.
We all can agree. This written a long time ago, huh? Right. Antichrist spirit already in the world at that time. And we know it's in our world nowadays if you ain't knowing or not knowing. But we're going to examine verse 2 and 3 a little bit. It says, hereby you know the Spirit of God, every spirit that confesseth that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh of God, because some people don't believe that Christ has came. You got, because I know, remember I said I'm kind of deviating maybe a little bit, because we were just dealing with the fact that in Proverbs, it was talking about what? Proverbs was saying, hey, who is this that did all this? Who created this? Who laid the foundation? We went to John. It gave us the components of who's responsible for that. But then it mentioned there that, hey, he was in the world. He came to his own. They didn't know who he was. He came in the flesh. And now, peace, brother. Who that, Aaron? No, who that? Come on in, brother. Oh, yeah, Algernon right here. Peace, bro. Then we read. You coming in, bro? Peace. Yeah. Yeah. We got any extra Bibles? They might be interested. Come on up here. That's right, Algernon. Oh, yeah. Now to praise the Lord, brother. Definitely welcome. Welcome, brother. Welcome, sis. So when we started the lesson, I'm just going to retrack a little bit. We just got started, so we only like 3 scriptures in. The title is To Honor the Son, Even as You Honor the Father. That's what the title of the lesson is. So we just dealing with, the fact that there's different perspectives on who Christ is. That's really who we focusing on. Because nobody debates who the Father is. Everybody wants to debate about who Jesus is. So that's what we're on right here. So I was covering the fact that we're in 1 John chapter 4, by the way. 1 John chapter 4. 1 John chapter 4. And John was warning us not to believe every spirit. Don't believe every word you hear regarding who Christ is. But it says, hereby you know the Spirit of God, every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh, that's coming from God. Every spirit that don't confess that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is not of God, and that is a spirit of Antichrist, where have you heard that it should come, and even now already is in the world. So all I was saying is that you have denominations, or I should say more, I guess I could say religions more so than denominations, but you probably have some of those too. You have denominations that they reject Jesus just off the fact that he claimed to be Christ. Christ meant the Messiah. Christ meant the anointed one. Not just the anointed one, because David was anointed by God, right? Saul was anointed by God before David. But neither one of them are the anointed one. The anointed one is just like you say, the Son of God. We trying to be sons of God, and these sisters trying to be daughters of God, right? But I'm not the Son of God. I'm trying to be a son of God right down the road, Lord willing. So with that being said, you have religions that reject that Christ even came, that the Messiah has came already, right? I said I wasn't going to get off into that too much, but what's one that comes off the mind? Anybody familiar with Islam? Mm-hmm. Right? They accept Christ. Well, you know what? We'll backtrack on Islam. We'll come back and maybe deal with them maybe later, maybe not. Judaism, we were going to say, right? Those that claim to be Jews, the people in the land today, they reject Christ as being the anointed one or the Christ. They claim to be still waiting on the Messiah. According to what we read, that's a spirit of Antichrist right there. Because that means you believe Jesus is a liar. That's what it comes down to. Because the Bible is telling us clear as day, Old Testament, in the New Testament, that he is the Christ. He was the Messiah, right? Skip down to verse 9. Let's see what that says.
And this was manifested, the love of God towards us, because that God sent his only begotten Son into the world, that we might live through him.
One more time, my brother.
And this was manifested, the love of God towards us, because that God sent his only begotten Son into the world, that we might live through him.
So when you don't accept, as the so-called Jew teaches, that Christ is not the Messiah, you saying God didn't send him. And so forth and so on, right? We can go down a long rabbit hole of what that means. It's basically rejection. The Bible's saying it's a spirit of Antichrist. I guess this scripture I put in here is you're diminishing who Jesus is. Diminishing. That's really what it comes down to. When you should be magnifying who Christ is. Because that's what the prophets and the book and the word is doing. Let's go further. Let's go to... We're going to go to John chapter 5. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Okay. John chapter 5. I'm going to look at the little notes I got right here, just see if they're pertinent. And I did leave that part out. One thing I mean, it's a no-brainer, but if you reject and diminish Jesus, it's not, because really, you have to put it in this context. If you believe the Messiah has not come, you been expecting somebody else to come. Or you believe somebody else done came already. You can go a couple of ways with that. Bottom line is you got an alternative to Christ. And the Bible's telling you, hey, you done missed the boat. The one that is the one that was foretold to come has already came. But the Bible's clearly telling us, hey, don't believe every spirit. Verse 3 says, many false prophets are gone into the world. And then it says at the end of verse 3, this is the spirit of Antichrist, whereof you have heard that it should come. And even now is already in the world. So the Bible was already telling us, hey, it's going to be some people. Jesus said out his own mouth, hey, it's going to be many false Christs come in my name after I'm gone, claiming to be me. You better take heed and you better search them out. Because I'm telling you, the buck stops with me. That's what Jesus said, pretty much. Let's go now to John chapter 5. Trying to play a little catch up because I want to enjoy you brothers and sisters as long as I can. John chapter 5. John chapter 5. Let's see here. This is going to give us something where we kind of maybe can paint the scene a little bit and get back into honoring the Son as you honor the Father. Because I know most people, put the esteem of the Father above the Son. Well, we agree that maybe if you don't even admit it, all right, even if you're like, well, I give Jesus his props just as much as I give the Father. If you deal with people that go to church and just in the conversations you hear, even if not in church, just in the world, you know what I mean? They'll say, well, Jesus was just the Son of God. What do you mean just the Son of God? That's saying a lot right there. And just the Son of God? Well, he's not the Father. Well, yeah, you're right. He's not the Father. But does that mean because he's not the Father that he don't have the same glory as the Father? But anyhow, John chapter 5. When you get there, my brother, this is Jesus we're going to read about. Go ahead.
After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, of blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water.
Everybody keeping up, right? It's after the feast. They at this pool. All kinds of disabled people are at this place, right? Is that what verse 3 said?
Yep.
And these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water. Pay attention, verse 4.
For an angel went down at a certain season into the pool and troubled the water. Whosoever then first after the troubling of the water stepped in was made whole of whatsoever disease he had.
See, when we read this Bible, like a scripture like that, that's saying a lot, ain't it?
Right.
whosoever, it was a time back in the day, rather, you know, how we're not going to get off into the legitimacy of this right here. According to what we're reading, though, it was some people who was disabled, blind, not, you know, not in good health, right? Really not in good health, physically disabled. And it says, verse 4, an angel went down at a certain season into this pool. Whoever was the first one to step in the pool, whatever soever disease they had, right, was made whole. Meaning they was cured or healed of whatever ailment they had, right? That's pretty deep. I mean, I don't know about no healing waters like that around here, right, but we reading about some, right? So verse 5, go ahead.
And a certain man was there, which had an infirmity 38 years.
Stop. Like I said, we got to kind of, let's get what we reading here, because I ain't saying it's most pertinent, but just show you the individuals God used to give his glory, brothers and sisters. It says the man was 38 years down at this pool. A certain man was there, which had an infirmity 38 years. Go ahead.
When Jesus saw him lie, and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he saith unto him, wilt thou be made whole? The impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man, when the water is troubled, to put me into the pool. But while I am coming, another steppeth down before me. Jesus saith unto him, Rise, take up thy bed and walk. And immediately the man was made whole, and took up his bed and walked. And on that same day was a Sabbath.
Okay, so we got Jesus doing a miracle here, right? This guy said, hey, I can't never make it to the pool because somebody make it to the pool before me because I'm messed up. I can't get to it, right? Jesus said, hey, rise and take up your bed and walk. And then we reading that immediately this went down. So obviously this man had some faith. Verse 10.
The Jews therefore said unto him, Thou wast cured. It is a Sabbath day. It is not lawful for thee to carry thy bed.
Isn't that something? We here today because it's the Lord's Sabbath day, the seventh day of the week. The Jews therefore said unto him that was cured, it is the Sabbath day. It's not lawful for thee to carry thy bed, right? So they not even knowing what done transpired. But go ahead, verse 12.
He answered them, He that made me whole, the same said unto me, Take up thy bed and walk. Then asked they him, What man is that which said unto thee, Take up thy bed and walk? And he that was healed knew not who it was, for Jesus had conveyed himself away, a multitude being in that place. Afterward Jesus findeth him in the temple, and said unto him, Behold, thou art made whole, sin no more, lest a worse thing come upon thee.
I mean, that's a mouthful in itself. We're not here for that, though. Jesus letting him know, though. He said, hey, I done healed you. You best not break God's law anymore unless a worse thing happened to you than what you've already endured. Verse 15.
The man departed and told the Jews that it was Jesus which had made him whole. And therefore did the Jews persecute Jesus and sought to slay him, because he had done these things on the Sabbath day.
So just to be, a little background here, Jesus was already stirring the pot real tough during this time already, to where you hear what they said. They weren't talking about beating him up. They want to slay him, it says, because they trying to accuse him of breaking God's Sabbath day. And Jesus healed a man on the Sabbath day, we reading here, right? They could care less about that.
Right.
A man that was impotent 38 years, meaning he was pretty much crippled. It said, therefore did the Jews persecute Jesus and sought to slay him because he had done these things on the Sabbath day. Keep going.
But Jesus answered them, My Father worketh hitherto, and I work. Therefore the Jews sought the more to kill him, because he not only had broken the Sabbath, but said also that God was his Father, making himself equal with God.
Oh, here we are. This is getting back into the title of the lesson right here. Honoring the Son as you honor the Father. See, we like to think, I've heard people say, like, I've had a few exchanges with some Muslims before, because, their thing is that Jesus isn't the Son of God. They make statements like God doesn't have any sons and so forth and so on. Here we can clearly read, and the statement that they'll make is, they'll say, Jesus never said in the Bible that he was God. They'll say things like that. And we already read before this that Jesus didn't even stick around long enough to tell this man who it was that healed him. Did we read that?
Right.
He didn't even know who he was.
Right.
So, truth be told, yeah, Jesus didn't go walking around like, hey, that's me. I came down from heaven, and he didn't get down like that. But if you read the Bible enough, when push came to shove, and when they really pressed him on the matter, when they really pressed Christ on the matter of who he was, he straight up told him who he was. And this particular scripture here is saying, what verse was we at, my brother? Verse 18.
Yeah, we finished 18, yep.
It says they thought the more to kill him after he said, hey, my father work, hey, I'm a work. Therefore, the Jews thought the more to kill him because he not only had broken the Sabbath, according to them, but he also said that God was his father, making himself what? Equal with God. That's how they took that statement. And see, when you really got understanding and understand what Jesus is talking about, that's like me. If I say that, well, obviously it's a different context when you're dealing with God, but we got a son and a father in here. We got two in here, as a matter of fact. Two, like, here it is. Martin, Dre. We got my brother Jaime, and we got Joseph here. Is his son any different than him? It's not a rocket science question. I'm not trying to throw you a curveball. And I take that back. We got three fathers and we got Simeon and his sons in here. Is his sons any different?
No.
Are you any different than them? Nah. But in terms of your being, are you a different species?
No.
Is he a man and you a
Young man.
Nah, I like that. Somebody said a robot, right? Nah, they're both men. So when Jesus, I'm telling you how these people, religious people, thinking when Jesus is talking and he's saying, that's my father, and they know he ain't talking about like how we say, we start off with the Lord's Prayer here today when we started. How it start, Brother Algernon? Our Father who's in heaven, right? Everybody know when we say our Father in heaven, ain't nobody thinking that we saying that literally God is our Father, huh? Meaning when I say, well, hold on. I know, okay, we can say technically in the sense that Jesus is saying it. Is Jesus saying it? When he say God is my father, I'm here to do the work like him. He sent me and all this old good stuff. Do any of us use the Father in that context to the extent we're going to see in this lesson? Absolutely. The answer is no. But so here it is. They knew that Jesus was making himself equal with the Father. The only other argument you could have here is, oh, they took Jesus' words out of context, right? Maybe that could have been, right? That's legitimate. Maybe they went overboard. We're not going to read about nobody saying, no, Jesus didn't really mean that. He didn't really mean he was equal with God. We're not going to read that, brothers and sisters. I guarantee you, we're not going to read somebody, or you're not going to read Jesus say, yeah, you're right. I'm not equal. I didn't mean it like that. I wasn't equal with him. No, we read here. He said, my father work. I'm going to put in the same work. And then he says, they said that we going to kill you because you have made yourself equal with God. Verse 19.
Then answered Jesus and said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do. For what things soever he doeth, these also doeth the Son likewise.
Come on.
For the Father loveth the Son, and showeth him all things that himself doeth. And he will show him greater works than these, that ye may marvel.
Come on.
For as the Father raiseth up the dead, and quickeneth them, even so the Son quickeneth whom he will. For the Father judgeth no man, but hath committed all judgment unto the Son, that all men should honor the Son, even as they honor the Father.
So that's the correct title right there, that all men should honor the Son, even as they honor the Father. This is Christ's own words here, right? The preceding verse, he said, the Father don't judge no man. He done gave all judgment to the Son. Now read verse 23.
From the top.
No, yeah, from the top. That what?
That all men should honor the Son, even as they honor the Father. He that honoreth not the Son honoreth not the Father which hath sent him.
And that's just the way it is, brothers and sisters. If you not giving, I mean, if here it is, we, come to mind, we could think of, I was a big Tupac fan, only God can judge me, huh? How many people liked that song from Tupac?
Yeah.
Only God can judge me, huh? See, if you got eyes to see and ears to see, and ears to hear, who said that? That's right. According to what we're reading here, the one that most people ascribe to being God, which, like I said, don't nobody argue that the Father is God. We reading here that Christ said, he done gave all judgment unto me. So if you really got some good understanding, and you, like Pac said, only God can judge me, well, which God gonna be judging you according to what we reading right here? But that's another, we'll get there. Let's see if that's true according to the Bible. That all men shall honor the Son, even as they honor the Father. He that don't honor the Son, you ain't giving no honor to the Father. If you don't give his Son the same honor, glory, praise that you give the Father. And that's just what we reading. I'm not going to make nothing else up. But keep going, verse 24.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that heareth my word and believeth on him that sent me hath everlasting life, and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death unto life.
Come on.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, the hour is coming, and now is, when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of God, and they that hear shall live.
He's going to start making some bold statements here, brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
For as the Father hath life in himself, so hath he given to the Son to have life in himself.
Come on.
And hath given him authority to execute judgment also, because he is the Son of Man.
Come on.
Marvel not at this, for the hour is coming, in the which all that are in the grave shall hear his voice, and shall come forth, that they have done good unto the resurrection of life, and they that have done evil unto the resurrection of damnation.
Yeah, they're going to hear the Son's voice. When you get a chance, keep going. You ain't got to, I know we might be rushing a little bit. I'm trying to make up. Go ahead.
I can of mine own self do nothing. As I hear, I judge. And my judgment is just, because I seek not mine own will, but the will of the Father which hath sent me.
See, these are the scriptures right here that we read, and we kind of downplay who Christ is. See, he got to do what the Father say. Yeah, he got to do what the Father say. Because they won. They work on one accord. He's not going to veer. That don't make him any less than the Father, because he listened to his Father. Some would say, well, the Father, call the shots. Hey, that's fine in this context of what we're reading here. But let's see. Keep going.
If I bear witness of myself, my witness is not true. There is another that beareth witness of me, and I know that the witness which is he witnesses of me is true.
See, he's saying, I ain't worried about what man say about me. I got a better witness than this, and his witness is true. He know who I is, verse 33.
Ye say unto John, and he bear witness unto the truth, but I receive not testimony.
Oh, I think we good there. We went to 32, huh? Mm-hmm. Okay, skip down to verse 37. So he said, I got a greater witness, but go ahead, skip down to verse 37.
And the Father himself, which hath sent me, hath borne witness of me. Ye have neither heard his voice at any time, nor seen his shape.
One more time, because we're going to read it. We want you to keep that in mind as we go through the lesson. Go ahead.
And the Father himself, which hath sent me, hath borne witness of me. Ye have neither heard his voice at any time, nor seen his shape.
So I'm going to ask y'all, I'm not going to be as interactive as in the past, because I know I get y'all riled up. What is verse 37 saying, brothers and sisters? I'll take anybody, on this one right here. Brother Sim.
No man has seen or heard from the Father.
Right?
We never dealt with him.
The Father himself, which done sent me, Jesus said, he the one that sent me. He bore witness of me. You have neither heard his voice at any time. That's pretty absolute, any time, huh? Mm-hmm. Nor what else it say there, brothers and sisters? You ain't even seen his shape. You ain't seen what he looked like. But we agree that that's what that scripture is saying there, right? But let's go further. Let's pay attention, because this is real important when you understand. We can read whatever we want. We can hear what anybody got to say about Jesus. Our best bet is to look at what Christ said himself. We ain't going to worry about what nobody else said. Let's just deal with what he said. Verse 38, go ahead.
And ye have not his word abiding in you. For whom he hath sent, him ye believe not. Search the scriptures, for in them ye think ye have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me.
One more time, Hebrew.
Search the scriptures, for in them ye think ye have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me.
Jesus saying the scriptures testify of him. See, most people in modern day or traditional church will think, well, that's just talking about the gospels. Maybe that's just talking about some of the things written in Isaiah, right? No. He said, search the scriptures, right? They gonna testify of me. Because it wasn't no New John when Jesus made that statement. It wasn't no gospel of John, was it?
Nope.
So we know he talking about from Genesis to Malachi. He's saying in them books, they testify of me. Search them. If you want to know what I'm talking about, verse 40.
And you will not come to me that ye might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that ye have not the love of God in you. I am come in my Father's name, and ye receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him ye will receive. How can ye believe which receive honor of one of another, and seek not the honor that cometh from God only?
Great question, huh? Keep going.
Do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is one that accuseth you, even Moses, in whom ye trust.
Come on.
For had ye believed Moses, ye would also believe me, for he wrote of me. But if ye believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words?
One more time from the top, brother, verse 45 through 47. This is going to get us to the bulk of the lesson right here. Go ahead.
Do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is one that accuseth you, even Moses, in whom ye trust. For had ye believed Moses, ye would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if ye believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words?
Think about that. Them some questions. Real talk, Jesus on their head right now, brothers and sisters. He is on their head. Do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is one that's going to accuse you. You claim you trust in Moses, but if you believe Moses, you would what? Believe me.
Right.
For he did what? He wrote of me, right? But if you don't believe his writings, how you going to believe my words? So Jesus telling them, hey, before you even think about what I'm talking about and saying, hey, you claim Moses is the one you got, you know, that you ascribe to, you got trust. He got the, he's the final say, or he's the authority on things. Moses that led our people out of Egypt, that Moses right there. He said, okay, if that's how you feel about him, he says, hey, really, you don't believe him because he wrote of me, and I'm telling you nothing but the same thing that he wrote about me. Let's see. Because we like I said, it wasn't no gospel of John then. Let's go see what Moses wrote. Let's go further. Where we going, my brother?
Exodus 19.
Let's go to Exodus 19. Exodus 19. And remember, keep it in mind what we read in that chapter right there, that Jesus said, no man has heard his voice, the Father's voice, at any time. No man has seen his shape at any time. Let's see. Let's see who this is right here. Exodus 19. Exodus 19. Because you can tell this before I did that Most High lesson. I was on my kick, trying to, you can bring it out so many different ways to know who Christ is. And if it's no way we're going to be able to lay our life down for Jesus if we don't know that he God, brothers and sisters. It's just simple as that. I'm just telling you the real. You got to have understanding on who he is. When you get down on your knees, you need to know who you bowing down to. Who's asking you to, they ain't talking about being beheaded for the Father's name, even though we know Jesus came in the Father's name, but it says for the testimony of Jesus, we gonna get dealt with, brothers and sisters. Not for the testimony of nobody else. Well, maybe I need to have my understanding about who this individual is, who's asking me, telling me things gonna happen to me if I follow him. You're gonna be hated for my namesake and stuff like that. I need to understand who that guy is that has that name. We go into Exodus 19. Go ahead, my brother. Exodus 19, all the way to when the children of Israel came out of Egypt. This is right before God gave the 10 commandments to the children of Israel on Mount Sinai. Let's read a few scriptures here and then we're going to jump into Exodus 19, verse 3, my brother. Go ahead.
And Moses went up unto God, and the Lord called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say unto the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
Okay, so we just marinated on that for a minute, right? I mentioned to you that we go in here because we just read that Jesus told some people who didn't believe in him, hey, if you don't believe Moses, you ain't gonna never believe what I'm talking about. So we back here in Exodus 19. Let's pay attention to why I mentioned what I mentioned. It says Moses went up unto God, right? And the Lord called unto who? Unto Moses out of the mountain, right? Yes. Thus shall you say to the house of Jacob, this is what you're going to tell the children of Israel. You seen what I did unto the Egyptians, how I bare you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now, therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then you're going to be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is really mine. This is what the Lord is telling Moses. And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, a holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak unto the children of Israel. Right. Moses got it directly from the Lord's what? Right from his mouth. Yep. Now, we just read in John chapter 5 that Jesus said no man has what? The wheels should already be starting to turn, brothers and sisters, if you don't have this understanding. Right. He said, you have not heard the Father's voice at any time, nor seen his shape. It said that as well, right? Well, whose voice is Moses hearing right here? We can kind of probably close it up right here and be done with it. But, you know, we got to prove all things. What was that, Brother Reggie? Oh, as long as you know who, yeah, it don't matter. Jesus ain't, yeah. I mean, Jehovah, we can go, the Most High.
Jehovah in the Old Testament was the son.
God got many titles, right? He ain't just Jehovah, ain't just Jesus, ain't just the Father, ain't just the Son, ain't Elohim. Yeah. We can go on and on and on. Point being here, as I mentioned, whose voice is Moses hearing? If Jesus is telling people, ain't nobody ever done heard the Father before. Ain't nobody ever. You only got so many options at that point. But, like I said, what did Jesus say? Search the scriptures and they what?
Testify of me.
They testify of me. So let's go further. Let's skip down to verse 16. We didn't read that, right?
No, not yet.
Okay, so he told them, hey, you tell these people, they do what I tell them. They're going to be special to me. I'm going to make a kingdom of priests out of them. Go tell them that, verse 16.
You just want to go down to verse 9 or no?
Oh, we going to 19. Yeah, 16 to 19.
Oh, okay.
That's my fault.
Okay.
Yeah, 16 through 19, yep.
And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled.
Oh, we getting somewhere. We getting, like I said, you got to kind of put yourself into the script. They out in the middle of the wilderness, right? There's no street lights out here.
Mm-mm. No.
Nah.
No.
They probably got some fire on, right? Yeah. Some campfires going. It came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders, lightnings, a thick cloud upon the mountain. They on this mountain. And the voice of the trumpet is getting louder, and the people is getting scared. Verse 17.
And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with God, and they stood on the nether part of the mount.
Oh, they finna have a meeting with God? Verse 18.
And Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in a fire. And the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly.
Oh, it's some quaking going on. Verse 19.
And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long, and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake, and God answered him by a voice.
There it is again. We got God answering Moses by what?
By a voice.
By a voice, right? And we know this ain't no teeny tiny wimpy voice, right? He not whispering to Moses, is he?
Nope.
Let's see. Let's go into chapter 20, right? Right into chapter 20. I said this is right before God gave the children of Israel the 10 commandments. I know for me, the first time I realized, I don't know why in my mind, I always thought Moses was the one telling the people what God's commandments was, because at some point in time, that is the status that the children of Israel got on with Moses, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to see the reason why right here. But initially, the first time God gave the children of Israel the commandments, it ain't Moses speaking. Let's see. Go ahead. Right off the bat. I don't know. Like I said, your mind can, we be pre-programmed so many things, from the church telling us that the Father is the God of the Old Testament and all these things that we grew up believing, or if you didn't believe it, you were told that because that's their understanding. And then you interject this stuff in the scriptures when you read, and then you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? I'm reading over here in the New Testament, Jesus saying ain't nobody never heard the Father's voice, but I got a God here in the Old Testament, doing a lot of talking, and a whole lot of people is hearing what he got to say.
Yeah.
But supposedly, it's the Father, right? That's what we've been told. It's the Father. But go ahead, pick it up right here. Who spake all these words, my brother?
And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Come on.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
Yes, sir.
Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it.
Come on.
Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. And all the people saw the thunderings and lightnings, and the noise of the trumpet, and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off.
I mean, God done got their attention for real. Verse 19.
And they said unto Moses, Speak thou with us, and we will hear. But let not God speak with us, lest we die. And Moses said unto the people, Fear not, for God is come to prove you, and that his fear may be before your faces, that ye sin not. And the people stood afar off. And Moses drew near unto the thick darkness where God was. And the Lord said unto Moses, Thus thou shalt say unto the children of Israel, Ye have seen that I have talked with you from heaven.
You've seen that I've talked with you from heaven, we read here, right? That's some amazing stuff going on there, right? Let's go further. Let's go to Deuteronomy 4. Deuteronomy 4. They got so scared that they didn't want God talking to them no more, right?
Yep.
That's just bottom line what it was. Obviously, I went here to establish that somebody hearing God's voice. There's a whole bunch of people hearing God's voice this day. A whole nation of people. Almost 1 million. 600,000 men for sure. Women and children, we got to figure it's got to be twice as many as the men, right?
Right, probably.
When you do your math, God covers all that. How many people came out of Egypt? That's not even counting the mixed multitude, the other nations. But let's go further. Deuteronomy 4, and we're going to pick it up at verse 5. Deuteronomy 4, verse 5. Let's go later down the road so we don't diminish the significance of that event that just took place. Because like I said, we read in the Bible, it's certain things in the Bible you got to hang your hat on, brothers and sisters. You got to hang your hat on and be like, God did that to get our attention all the way down to this day. Even though we weren't there, even though we ain't heard God's voice audibly, it done been heard before. And I didn't want to say it's not nothing to be reckoned with, but it wasn't a small thing when it happened. Deuteronomy 4, verse 5, go ahead.
Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither you go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great, who have God so near unto them, as the Lord our God in all things that we will call upon him for? And what nation is there so great, that has statutes and judgments so righteous, as all this law which I set before you this day?
You see that question mark there? That's how, the Moses is asking the people. You know what I mean? Like, if you do what he say and listen to them commandments and them statutes, everybody gonna say, y'all great. Y'all's a great people. Y'all different than everybody else. But then what's always I guess I've been trying to use the word caveat more lately. What's the caveat to all this? Verse 9.
Only take heed to thyself, and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, and lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life, but teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons.
He didn't even talk about what they heard, huh?
Right.
Because when they was on that mountain, they seen too, didn't they?
Right.
They saw thunders and lightnings before they heard that voice, huh? Yeah. Moses telling them, hey, take heed to yourself. You better keep your soul, lest you ever forget what you seen on that day and they depart from you. What you're supposed to do is make sure you tell your sons and your daughters about what happened that day. Let's go, verse 10.
Especially the day that thou stoodest before the Lord thy God in Horeb.
Especially what?
Especially the day when that thou stoodest before the Lord thy God in Horeb.
That's the one we read about in Exodus 19 and 20. Go ahead.
When the Lord said unto me, gather me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children. And you came near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire and unto the midst of heaven, with darkness, clouds, and thick darkness.
And what happened? What God do?
And the Lord spake unto you out of the midst of the fire.
Moses spoke to him.
And the Lord spake unto you out of the midst of the fire. Ye heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude, only ye heard a voice.
There go that word similitude again, huh? You out, my brother? Understood, my brother.
I love this because I love the word.
Amen.
And I want you all to be encouraged. And I have a T-shirt that says benefit. God's got your back. Only if you keep him in front.
You got that right, my brother. Lord willing, come through. What was your name, bro?
Mr. Anthony Allen.
Okay, Brother Anthony. What's your name, sis? If you don't mind me asking. Annette? Yeah. Pleasure meeting you, Sister Annette.
Just say, hey, AAA.
Don't forget about us, brother.
Oh, never can, man.
Come.
One body. And the Bible says there are many members, but one body, but Christ is the head of the body.
That's right.
People, since when did the body start telling the head what to do? They have an ear to hear and be a doer.
So we got here. Did we finish that? No, I stopped at 12. No, 11, huh? Mm-hmm. So it says here, no.
We finished 12.
We did finish 12?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the Lord spake unto you out of the midst of the fire. You didn't hear no voice. You heard the voice of the words, but you didn't see no similitude. In other words, what that mean, brother, Sister Kiara? I know it's long, baby. I know it's hard to keep this attention spans. Even mine. I have to be dialed in to be up here.
I mean, similitude, I'm assuming it's like similitude, only you heard the voice, so you didn't see him.
Yeah, you didn't see nobody, huh? That's what Moses said. You didn't see nothing. But you dang sure heard that voice that day on that mountain. But you didn't see nothing. See, that give you more understanding where God say, don't make any what? Don't make no graven images. Don't make no... how you going to make something to look like God and you've never seen God? You can't. That's common sense, right? But boy, I don't know how we got ourselves in the condition we in. Well, we can read how we got ourselves in the condition, but I don't know, everything is relative at this point, brothers and sisters. That's some big statements when Moses say something. It seemed like a small thing. Teach your sons this. And then if we would have did that, it's something simple as that. We're not even in this. Obviously, you got to believe it too. But heck, we don't give our kids a chance to believe nothing. At least our forefathers didn't. We didn't give them no chance to believe nothing like we reading right here, that God came to our people and gave them the law, a fiery law, it says. But so yeah, that's what no similitude mean. He said, but you didn't see nothing. Only you heard a voice, verse 13.
And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments. And he wrote them upon 2 tables of stone.
Okay, let's go to John chapter 6, my brother. John chapter 6. Because Jesus almost said the same thing. You ain't heard the Father's voice at any time, and you ain't seen his shape. Moses saying pretty much the same thing that God told Moses to say, which was him, if you got understanding. But we trying to do the lesson in a way for you to search the scriptures out. He said, Moses told the people, hey, you only heard a voice. But if Jesus already said you ain't nobody heard the Father's voice, what voice are they hearing? Even if you want to say, well, it was an angel, because Moses heard an angel's voice in the bush, right? But when we get to that Exodus 19 and 20, what we heard right then and there, that wasn't no angel right there. That wasn't no angel right there. But we know angels do talk to men on behalf of God. But one thing's for sure, the Father is not the one whose voice is coming out on Mount Sinai, is it? No. God the Father is not shouting back in the day when he led. Matter of fact, he didn't even lead the children of Israel out of Egypt, according to what we're reading here.
Right.
But we'll get to that maybe. John 6, 36 through 46. Let's see if the Bible says something like we already read. Go ahead. This is Christ now. Go ahead.
But I said unto you that ye also have seen me and believe not.
You seen me and you believe me, but you ain't seen the Father, right? That's literally what he's saying. But don't trip. Go ahead.
All that the Father giveth me shall come to me, and him that cometh to me I will in no wise cast out. For I came down from heaven, not to do mine own will, but the will of him that sent me.
See, no, we don't talk like that. Remember I said? We don't talk about like that, like we done came down from heaven and we was up there with our Father. No. We don't do no talking like that. This is how Jesus was talking. So they knew when he said, my Father, they talking about, we abode together. We live together. All that the Father have said, all that the Father have given me, all that the Father giveth me shall come to me. That's verse 37. And him that cometh to me, I will in no way cast out. Did I get ahead of myself, my brother?
No, you good.
I'm good. For I came down from heaven, not to do my thing, but the will of him that sent me. Verse 39.
And this is the Father's will, which hath sent me, that of all which he hath given me, I should lose nothing, but should raise it up again at the last day.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the will of him that sent me, that every one which seeth the Son and believeth on him may have everlasting life, and I will raise him up at the last day.
Then what the people say about all that?
The Jews then murmured at him, because he said, I am the bread which came down from heaven. And they said, is not this Jesus, the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know? How is it then that he saith, I came down from heaven?
See, they talking crazy, right? Or they think Jesus talking crazy, right? Hey, man, what are you talking about? He came down from heaven. He's the bread. Ain't Mary his mama? We know Joseph too. How is it that he say he came down from heaven? 43, what Jesus say?
Jesus therefore answered and said unto them, murmur not among yourselves. No man can come to me except the Father which hath sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day.
He basically said, I'm going to tell you again, there ain't nothing changed. No man can come to me except the Father which hath sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day. Verse 45.
It is written in the prophets, and they shall be all taught of God. Every man, therefore, that hath heard and hath learned of the Father cometh unto me. Not that any man hath seen the Father, save he which is of God, he hath seen the Father.
Not that any man have seen the Father. Here it is again.
Yep.
Absolute scriptures, right? That you can't get around. No man has seen the Father, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And he said in another place, no man has heard his voice at any time. And we kind of dealt with that already. But Jesus said, I've seen him, right? I've seen the Father. Let's go further. Let's go to Numbers 12. We're going here to Numbers 12 just to, I don't think any of us diminish Moses. Christ definitely gets diminished more than Moses does. And Moses is the very one that Jesus told the people, hey, you claim you believe and trust in Moses. He wrote of me. Moses get his props in the world, right? Mm-hmm. When I say his props, I was going to say something a little different. I was going to say, if you just look historically, right? I don't know, maybe in our waning age, you know, these young men that carry the torch, you know. But if you was to ask somebody, name somebody in the Bible, Moses, after Jesus, probably in Abraham, next one probably going to be Moses, right?
Yeah.
You might get Moses before you get Jesus. It's possible.
Yep.
It is possible, right? And so I guess I'm mentioning that to say that what we going to read here, we need to understand why God be doing what he doing, because he's laying down a foundation and a path for us to go down. To where, like I said, he said, search the scriptures, right? We right up in it right now, right? We're in the scriptures, right? Numbers 12. Let's read what this says about Moses. Numbers 12. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. This is when Moses' sister got beside herself. We're not here because she got beside herself. In a way, we kind of is, because the Lord's going to address her getting beside herself. Numbers 12. Go ahead.
And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married. For he had married an Ethiopian woman.
And Miriam and Aaron spake. So I'm not going to leave
Right.
Aaron out of here. But unfortunately, we know who was leading the path. There's a reason why Miriam's name is there first. Mm-hmm. And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because he married an Ethiopian woman. Verse 2.
And they said, hath the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses? Hath he not spoken also by us? And the Lord heard it.
Oh, I like the way Dre read that. They getting beside themselves. God don't just speak out of Moses' mouth. What about us?
Right.
You know, you can go back in, I think, Exodus, and you can read about Miriam leading the praise, right? You know, singing the song, about what God did to the Egyptians and things like that. We know Aaron was the one talking to Pharaoh, right? Remember, Moses was talking about, I don't know how to talk. He said, yeah, man, I know that. Your brother is the one who can talk. Matter of fact, he come now. Y'all gonna have y'all little reunion, and then he gonna be the one, right? He said Moses, the Bible, I think if I remember correctly, it said Moses will be like a God unto Aaron, and Aaron will be what? The prophet, right? Mm-hmm. But anyhow, we reading here, they saying, have God only spoken by Moses? Mm-hmm. Verse 3. And it says God heard it, right? The Lord heard it. Verse 3.
Now the man Moses was very meek, above all the men which were upon the face of the earth.
One more time.
Now the man Moses was very meek, above all men which were upon the face of the earth.
Come on.
And the Lord spake suddenly unto Moses, and unto Aaron, and unto Miriam. Come out ye three unto the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out. And the Lord came down in the pillar of the cloud, and stood in the door of the tabernacle, and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, hear now my words, if there be a prophet among you. I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream.
Pay attention.
My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. And the similitude of the Lord shall he behold. Wherefore then ye were not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?
So this is what God tell his brother and his sister. See, I know y'all remember I did a lesson like God is an anybody killer.
Yeah.
The closer you are to God, the more dangerous it is, brothers and sisters. Because the closer you get to dealing with godly things, the Lord expects you to do more right by him than somebody that's ignorant.
Right.
You know, Sister Alice, you know, she always, when I first started teaching, she said, Brother Jason, you got the most dangerous job there is. And I'd be like, what you mean? And then now I know what she's talking about now. Go ahead, Rich. What you need, a mic? What's up, Rich?
Oh no, I was talking to some brothers today, this evening, and about walking with the Lord.
Oh, about, it's a game changer, right? You can't just move like you was, but
Andres was telling me.
Oh, yeah.
okay.
He'll tear you up.
He'll tear you-
He'll tear you up.
So according to what we read in here, God himself is talking about Moses after his brother and sister got mad at him for marrying the Ethiopian woman, and they puffed themselves up and said, hey, he only talking to you. He ain't just talking to you. God be dealing with us too. God had to get it straight between them, right? And say, hey, I might raise up another prophet. I might talk to him in a vision. I might talk to him in a dream. But I don't deal with Moses like that. And then read verse 8 again. Mm-hmm. With him, I'm going to do what?
With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches.
Even apparently. You ain't got to, he talked to Jacob in a dream, right? Jacob had to figure out what the dream was, huh? That's a marvelous thing, right? To have God come to you and talk to you in the dream. Mm-hmm. It ain't marvelous as God, what Moses had going on with God, is it? Right. It ain't that, but I mean, obviously, marvelous might not be the word, but it is straight to the point. Mm-hmm. That's what we read here. When he says, I'm going to speak to him mouth to mouth, even apparently. Mm-hmm. He ain't going to have to figure out what I'm talking about. And not in dark speeches. It ain't going to be no parables, no riddles. And the similitude, did y'all ever catch that one there? Mm-hmm. And remember, Moses told the people, hey, y'all heard his voice, but you didn't see no similitude. God telling us right here, hey, I talked to him mouth to mouth. And he done seen me. I'm gonna let him see me. Or I don't know if numbers come before Exodus 33 or after. The bottom line is, in this context, it's saying he's gonna behold me. So we're gonna say he's telling them, hey, we so cool. I let him check me. I let him see me. We that close. Mm-hmm. That I ain't doing no dreams or no visions with him. And the similitude of the Lord he shall behold. Wherefore then were you afraid to speak against my servant? Right. And we ain't even got to read the rest because we know what happened to Miriam, right? He turned her white. Yeah. Here's what it is, right, Anna? Mm-hmm. It's like if you would turn, or and Zoe, y'all was turned black, right? I mean, you have to understand it like that, right? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know we like to think that, how can you turn somebody white? Right.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
What point is God making right then and there? No, we know that.
She was black and she got turned white.
She definitely has some color, right? In order for it to distinguish between what she looked like after God did what he did to Miriam. It says he gave her leprosy, right? Let's go further. I think we finished there, right? Let's go to Exodus 33 now. Let's go to where God, or to where Moses beheld the similitude. Because Jesus said, no man has seen God's shape. No man has seen God at any time. Exodus 33, we're going to read 13, then skip down to verse 17. And actually, that's supposed to be 1 through 13. Let's read that. We getting through it. Exodus 33, pick it up at verse 1. I think it's important to understand the setup and what Moses was dealing with and understand how God felt about Moses and how he was dealing with him and how relevant he was in Moses' life at this time. Go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Moses, Depart and go up hence, thou and the people which thou hast brought up out of the land of Egypt, unto the land which I swear unto Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, saying, Unto thy seed will I give it, and I will send an angel before thee, and I will drive out the Canaanite, the Amorite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite, unto a land flowing with milk and honey. For I will not go up into the midst of thee, for thou art a stiff-necked people, lest I consume thee in thy way.
So look, Moses already been dealing with Israel. They done did the golden calf and everything, if I'm not mistaken, already by this time. And it's all bad. And God is telling them, hey, it's time, you better get them up out of here. Verse 4.
And when the people heard these evil tidings, they mourned, and no man did put on him his ornaments. For the Lord has said unto Moses, Say unto the children of Israel, Ye are a stiff-necked people. I will come up into the midst of thee in a moment, and consume thee. Therefore now put off thy ornaments from thee, that I may know what to do unto thee. And the children of Israel stripped themselves of their ornaments by the Mount Horeb.
So they took off all that gold that God had given them when they came out of Egypt. Because that's how they was getting that big head, right? Thinking they was somebody, I guess.
The grill came out.
Oh, yeah, the grill, the ring, everything.
Chain, like, oh, man.
I mean, if they didn't take it off, what would God have done to them, brothers and sisters?
Consume
You
them.
see how how he dealing with these people?
Yeah, dang.
And the children of Israel stripped themselves like, get down and lay down, right? Take it off. Verse 7.
And Moses took the tabernacle and pitched it without the camp, afar off from the camp, and called it the tabernacle of the congregation.
Oh, now it's a new thing going on. He gonna take the camp, he gonna pitch it way out, away from the camp, and it's gonna be called the tabernacle of the congregation. Go ahead.
And it came to pass that every one which sought the Lord went out unto the tabernacle of the congregation, which was without the camp.
See, you got to go outside the camp, brothers and sisters. Just like I know when people hear we up in the hotel keeping the Sabbath, having church, they think we crazy, huh? When we tell them you got to get out them whorehouses.
Right.
We know what them whorehouses is, huh? Them churches. Them ones that's coming in Jesus' name and ain't teaching us nothing. And lying and greedy dogs and talking about prosperity and all that's all they want to talk about every Sunday. Is trying to get some money up out of you. You got to go outside, and this is what we seeing right here. When the people was tripping right here, just like most of these churches out here, you ain't got thousands of denominations for nothing. You got to go outside to get the real. So here it is. This is the setup here. Moses done took the camp. He said, anybody who seek the Lord went out unto the tabernacle of the congregation, which was without the camp. Without is another word for outside.
Yeah.
Verse 8.
And it came to pass, when Moses went out into the tabernacle, that all the people rose up and stood every man at his tent door and looked after Moses until he was gone into the tabernacle.
We understand what we reading, right? Yeah, they see Moses get up and start heading that way. But it's attention. Everybody, straighten your back up a little bit. Moses, I don't know what he doing, but he heading towards that tabernacle. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, as Moses entered into the tabernacle, the cloudy pillar descended and stood at the door of the tabernacle. And the Lord talked with Moses. And all the people saw the cloudy pillar stand at the tabernacle door. And all the people rose up and worshipped, every man in his tent door.
I bet they did. Verse 11.
And the Lord spake unto Moses face to face, as a man speaketh unto his friend, and turned again into the camp. But his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, departed not out of the tabernacle.
Come on.
And Moses said unto the Lord, See, thou sayest unto me, Bring up this people, and thou hast not let me know whom thou wilt send with me. Yet thou hast said, I know thee by name, and thou hast also found grace in my sight. Now therefore, I pray thee, if I have found grace in thy sight, show me now thy way, that I may know thee, that I may find grace in thy sight, and consider that this nation is thy people.
So you see how Moses talking to God?
Yeah.
Moses said unto the Lord, verse 12, hey, you said unto me, bring this people out, but you ain't let me know who gonna come with me. I know you say you know me by name. I done found grace in your sight. He said, now therefore I pray, if I done found grace like you said, show me now the way that I may know you, that I may find grace in your sight. And then I consider that this nation is thy people. Because like I said, they were screwing up at this point. 1 minute God talking about, hey, I'm gonna tear y'all up. I'm gonna consume you. I'm gonna annihilate you. I'm gonna destroy you if you keep acting like how you're acting. And then at the same time, he telling Moses, take these people up out of here, man. That's almost sound like that's how messed up God's people had God, brothers and sisters. God is torn between, man. He told Moses, man, I'll just start afresh with you and kill all of them. At one point in time. That's how wicked they was, right? And that's not a typo in the Bible. He said, I'll start fresh with you, man. So Moses is conflicted. You telling me to go, but at the same time, you telling us we stiff-necked, we trifling, we don't listen. But you saying, hey, keep it pushing. Skip down to verse 17.
And the Lord said unto Moses, I will do this thing also that thou hast spoken.
I'm going to do it. Go ahead.
For thou hast found grace in my sight, and I know thee by name. And he said, I beseech thee, show me thy glory.
What Moses say? Beseech thee do what?
Show me thy glory.
Keep going.
And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before thee, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord before thee, and will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and will show mercy on whom I will show mercy. And he said, thou cannot see my face, for there shall no man see me and live. And the Lord said, behold, there is a place by me, and thou shalt stand up upon a rock. And it shall come to pass, while my glory passes by, that I will put thee in a cleft of the rock, and will cover thee with mine hand while I pass by. And I will take away mine hand, and thou shalt see my back parts, but my face shall not be seen.
You ain't going to see my face, Moses, but I'm going to put you up in this rock. I'm going to put my hand over you, and I'm going to walk by. And when I walk by, I'll let you see my back parts on the way by. Right? Is that what we just read, brothers and sisters? Because if I let you see my face, I got to kill you, is what he told Moses, right? If anybody see my face, there shall no man see me and live. So let's just think about that, just so we have to be knowing what we reading. We just read a few scriptures before this that God said, I talked to Moses face to face, huh? He don't mean face to face like Moses see his face and he see Moses' face. No, he just see Moses' face, huh? The point he's making when you say you talk to somebody face to face is just I'm talking directly to you. That's all he's trying to let us know about Moses and that relationship he had. That wasn't the norm for God to talk directly to a man like that. That's all it is. Because you got people that come up and say, oh, see, this is a contradiction right here. We just read that he said he'd go talk to Moses face to face, but then God turned around and tell him, hey, you can't see my face. Which one is it, Lord? Right? No, we got to have enough sense to understand what he's saying. Literally, you can't see. And obviously, all we can read is the cloud came down, right? We got to have enough sense to know who's in the cloud, right? Here, let's go there just as a curveball. 1 Corinthians 10. Because you can't read it all. First Corinthians 10. Let's pick it up at verse 1. Because that don't tell you much, right? I mean, I guess where my mindset is we read that when the people saw the cloud come down on the tabernacle, they stood at attention because they knew who was in that cloud. God was in that cloud hiding his face. Not because he's scared, though. 1 Corinthians 10, go ahead.
Moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant, how that all of our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and that all eat the same spiritual meat, and that all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drink of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ.
So what is he talking about that followed them? He talking about that cloud, brothers and sisters. You can read it all throughout the Bible. It says, it's a place, I believe it's in Revelation. Behold, talking about Jesus, he cometh with what? With the clouds. That's how he going to return. In Acts chapter 1, how did he leave? In the cloud. That's how he left. And when he was doing the same thing back in the day. But let's finish this out just so we have full understanding of what we just read in Exodus 33. We read in Deuteronomy, in Numbers 12, God said, I'm going to show Moses my similitude, didn't he? Oh, yeah, he did right here, huh? So the question you have to ask yourself, Christ telling us no man's seen the Father, nobody's heard this voice. We're reading all these scriptures, which is just a minute minority, but some of the more significant times where clearly a bunch of people heard God's voice before. Clearly God spoke to Moses. Clearly we just read that Moses asked God to show me your glory. After in Numbers, we read that God said, yeah, I'm going to show him my similitude. We just read. You still there, Dre?
Exodus 33.
Yeah. Read verse 19 one more time.
And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before thee, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord before thee, and will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and I will show mercy on whom I will show mercy.
And what else God say?
And he said, thou canst not see my face, for there shall no man see my face and live. And the Lord said, behold, there was a place by me, and thou shalt stand upon a rock. And it shall come to pass, while my glory passeth by, that I will put thee in a cleft of the rock, and will cover thee with mine hand while I pass by. And I will take away mine hand, and thou shalt see my back parts, but my face shall not be seen.
So much for nobody seen God before, right? Yeah. Moses done seen God before. He just didn't see his face. I think most of us would take a pinky toe, right? At this point, right? Let's go further. So you have to ask yourself, who is this that he's seeing?
Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Let's go to Luke 5. Luke 5. Luke chapter 5, pick it up at verse 17. Luke chapter 5, verse 17. When you get there, my brother, go ahead.
And it came to pass on a certain day, as he was teaching, that there were Pharisees and doctors of the law sitting by, which were come out of every town of Galilee and Judea and Jerusalem, and the power of the Lord was present to heal them. And behold, man brought in the bed a man which was taken with palsy, and they sought means to bring him in, and to lay him before him. And when they could not find by what way they might bring him in, because of the multitude, they went upon the housetop, and let him down through the tiling with his couch unto the midst before Jesus.
Now, this is a pretty familiar scene if you know anything about the Bible, right?
Yep.
They done brought the crippled man or whatever condition he was in. It says, he had the palsy. He was paralyzed. They bring him through the roof to get to Jesus, to get that healing. Let's see what happens, what Jesus say right here. What Luke is saying. Go ahead.
And when he saw their faith.
Who's the he? Jesus, right?
Yeah.
When Christ saw their faith, the extent they went to, go ahead.
He said unto him, man, thy sins are forgiven thee. And the scribes and the Pharisees began to reason, saying, who is this which speaketh blasphemies? Who can forgive sins but God alone?
That's a great question right there, right? I'm pretty sure most of us living in that time hear a man telling somebody your sins is forgiven, right? Wasn't no Catholic priest around in this time, right? They about the only ones that talk silly enough like that nowadays, right? That'll have enough nerve to say something like that. No, we got the very Christ telling this man, hey, your sins, man. He actually, I like the way he said, and when he saw their faith, he said to him, man, thy sins are forgiven. And the scribes and the Pharisees began to reason, saying, who is this which speaketh blasphemy? That's what they calling Jesus doing, speaking blasphemy against God. Who can forgive sins but God alone? Go ahead.
But when Jesus perceived their thoughts, he answering said unto them, what reason ye in your hearts? Whether it easier to say, thy sins be forgiven thee, or to say, rise up and walk?
One more time. Which one is easier to say, Dre? Whether it's what?
Whether it's easier to say, thy sins be forgiven thee, or to say, rise up and walk. But that ye may know that the Son of Man hath power upon earth to forgive sins, he said unto the sick of the palsy, I say unto thee, arise and take up thy couch and go into thine house.
Okay, so the Lord said here, like, I don't know, for the Lord, ain't neither one of them, nothing's impossible with God. Whether it's easy to say your sins be forgiven or rise up and walk, right? The God, Christ messing with him at this point. Letting it be known like, well, I told you I'm the one. In the flesh, I am the one. Let's go further, though. Let's go to Luke 7, a couple chapters over. So they're torn because Christ is talking about, Christ is forgiving people's sins, brothers and sisters. He ain't died yet and he forgiving people's sins, right? He ain't died yet, right? But most of the time, how many of us have been, Lord, forgive me? Who are you talking to?
Talking to Jesus.
Hey, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Luke chapter 7. If you got the right understanding, you know who you're talking
Jesus,
to.
yeah.
It ain't nothing wrong with that. I ain't trying to eliminate the Father neither now. I'm just saying, if you don't consider Christ as being God and you diminish him, then you only asking the Father for forgiveness, right? If that's your line of thinking, that the Father is God and Jesus is not, right? Mm-hmm. That he's a prophet like Islam, or he's I've heard he's a little God. Whatever you want to go with, right? We reading here Jesus forgiving people's sins, and everything to our core, to what we understand when we get baptized, is we asking God to forgive us for our sins, right? And we got Jesus forgiving people real time. Luke chapter 7, verse 37. Go ahead.
And behold, a woman in the city, which was a sinner, when she knew that Jesus sat at meat in the Pharisee's house, brought an alabaster box of ointment, and stood at his feet behind him, weeping, and began to wash his feet with tears, and then wiped them with the hairs of her head, and kissed his feet, and anointed them with the ointment. Now when the Pharisee which had bidden him saw it, he spake within himself, saying, This man, if he were a prophet, would have known who and what manner of woman this is that toucheth him, for she is a sinner.
Ooh, he talking reckless. Verse 40.
And Jesus answering said unto him, Simon, I have somewhat to say unto thee. And he saith, Master, say on. There was a certain creditor which had 2 debtors. The one owed 500 pence, and the other 50. And when they had nothing to pay, he frankly forgave them both. Tell me, therefore, which of them will love him most?
Great question, right? Verse 43.
Simon answered and said, I suppose that he to whom he forgave most. And he said unto him, Thou hast rightly judged. And he turned unto the woman and said unto Simon, Seest thou this woman? I entered into thine house. Thou gavest me no water for my feet, but she hath washed my feet with tears, and wiped them with the hairs of her head. Thou gavest me no kiss, but this woman since the time I came in hath not ceased to kiss my feet. My head with oil thou didst not anoint, but this woman hath anointed my feet with ointment. Wherefore I say unto thee, her sins, which are many, are forgiven, for she loved much. But to whom little is forgiven, the same loveth little. And he said unto her, Thy sins are forgiven. And they that sat at meat with him began to say within themselves, Who is this that forgiveth sins also?
Who is this that forgiveth sins also? They shook, brothers and sisters. You ought to figure it out by now. It got to be God.
Right.
But our minds have this roadblock where we want to put Christ in the box. But we read clearly he doing God stuff 24/7, all the time. Whether he was a man or whether when we read him walking by Moses, which, if you got understanding to know who that was. John chapter 5. John chapter 5. We don't even know the Father, as Jesus said, except if it was for him. You wouldn't even know my Father, he said. John chapter 5, we got 2 verses, 22 and 23. Go ahead. We're going to just read it one more time now so we can get a little more understanding, I hope. We read it earlier in the lesson. Go ahead.
That all men should honor the Son.
Hit 22.
Oh, my bad. For the Father judgeth no man, but hath committed all judgment unto the Son, that all men should honor the Son, even as they honor the Father. He that honoreth not the Son honoreth not the Father which hath sent him.
That's good. Let's go to Isaiah 44. Or actually, let's go to the lesson. Where we at? We getting to that point where I
Jeremiah.
made some changes. Yeah. Let's go to Jeremiah. I can put this away. Jeremiah chapter. These are a few little additions I put in here. So why is the Father committing all the judgment to the Son? He paid the price.
He paid the price.
Yeah, that's right. He's the one. He the Christ. He's the only one that's dealt with mankind from the beginning.
Came in the flesh.
From Genesis. That's who was in the garden talking to Adam and Eve. One that told Abraham, leave your family. The Father ain't had nothing to do with this thing. That's why he said he came to his own and they knew him not. But God set it up that way, brothers and sisters. We're going to read, where we going? Jeremiah 31? Okay, so let's...
31.
31, okay. Jeremiah 31, if you're there. I think we're at like verse, 31 maybe? Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Jeremiah 30, everybody there? Jeremiah 31, we almost done. We got a couple of long ones to read, but I'm going to let him read, Lord willing. Jeremiah 31 and 31, go ahead.
Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was an husband unto them, saith the Lord.
So we reading here, right? Behold, the day's going to come. I'm going to make a new covenant with the house of Israel, with the house of Judah. It's not going to be like the one I made with the fathers. That one they broke when they came out of Egypt. Verse 33.
But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, saith the Lord, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their God, and they shall be my people.
Come on.
And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, for they shall all know me. From the least of them even unto the greatest of them, saith the Lord, for I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more.
Obviously, we here for the latter of that verse right there.
Absolutely.
Right? He going to make a new covenant with them, right? And then it's going to come a point in time, I'm going to forgive their iniquity, and I'm not going to remember their sins no more. Let's go further. Where we going, Dre?
That's going to be...
Matthew 26?
Yep.
Okay, let's go to Matthew 26. Matthew 26. Because he said, we just read in Jeremiah that the Lord told Jeremiah to write, hey, he going to make a what? A new covenant. Not like the old one that we read about when they came out of Egypt. We didn't read it all, but he made a covenant with them when they came out of Egypt. They broke that covenant. Therefore, it was necessary for Christ to come and make the new covenant. Matthew 26. Pick it up at verse 26.
Yeah.
Let's see how Christ talking right before his passion or his death. Go ahead.
And as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it, and brake it, and gave it to the disciples, and said, take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup, and gave thanks, and gave it to them, saying, drink ye all of it. For this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins.
One more time, verse 28. This is my what?
For this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins.
It's shed. That's what it's for, right? And don't get it twisted because it say New Testament there. Testament, just another word for covenant, brothers and sisters. That's all it is. For this is the blood of my what? New Testament, new covenant. That's what we reading here. Which is going to be shed for the remission of sins, of many sins, he says there, right? And we just read in Jeremiah that that's what his new covenant is going to introduce. Let's go further. Where we going now? I forgot.
29.
I got one.
Verse 29.
No, we good. John chapter 6. Back to John. Back to John. Back to John. Because when the disciples took Passover with Jesus that night, I guess it's commonly known as communion today, but we know it's Passover, right? We gonna let's let the Lord tell it right here in John 6. I think He's gonna tell it right here. If not, it's gonna be in John 10. But let's read it right here. Let's just read this. And hopefully I don't get ahead of myself. We almost done. John 6 and verse 28. John 6 and verse 28. Go ahead.
Then said they unto him, What shall we do, that we might work the works of God? Jesus answered and said unto them, This is the work of God, that ye believe on him who he hath sent.
You got to believe who he is. Go ahead.
They said therefore unto him, What sign showest thou then, that we may see and believe thee? What dost thou work? Our fathers did eat manna in the desert, as it is written, He gave them bread from heaven to eat. Then Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, Moses gave you not that bread from heaven, but my Father giveth you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is he which cometh down from heaven, and giveth life unto the world. Wow. Then said they unto him, Lord, evermore give us this bread.
Come on.
And Jesus said unto him, I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger, and he that believeth on me shall never thirst.
Skip down to verse 47.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me hath everlasting life. I am the bread of life. Your fathers did eat manna in the wilderness, and are dead. This is the bread which cometh down from heaven, that a man may eat thereof and not die. I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world.
Oh, that's what we just read in Matthew 26, huh? He said, take this bread, right? Break it, right? This is my body, right? So he telling them here, this is before Passover, and we going to see what end up happening as a result of this. But read 51 again. I am the living bread which came down from heaven. Go ahead.
I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world.
Come on.
The Jews therefore strove among themselves, saying, How can this man give us his flesh to eat? Then Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, except ye eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, ye have no life in you.
So he's serious about it, ain't he? Yeah. But they got the wrong idea. Go ahead.
Whoso eateth my flesh and drinketh my blood hath eternal life, and I will raise him up at the last day. For my flesh is meat indeed, and my blood is drink indeed. He that eateth my flesh and drinketh my blood dwelleth in me, and I in him. As the living Father hath sent me, and I live by the Father, so he that eateth me, even he shall live by me. This is that bread which came down from heaven, not as your fathers did eat manna and are dead. He that eateth of this bread shall live forever.
He's serious about that bread, ain't he?
Yep, no, he sure is.
Verse 59, go ahead.
These things said he in the synagogue as he taught in Capernaum. Many therefore of his disciples, when they had heard this, said, This is an hard saying.
This is some hard saying right here. This brother talking about eat his flesh. This hard saying. That's a hard saying. Go ahead.
When Jesus knew in himself that his disciples murmured at it, he said unto them, Does this offend you? What and if ye shall see the Son of Man ascend up where he was before? It is the Spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. But there are some of you that believe not. For Jesus knew from the beginning whom they were that believed not, and who should betray him. And he said, Therefore said I unto you, that no man can come unto me, except they were given unto him of my Father. From that time many of the disciples went back and walked no more with him.
One more time, read that again.
From that time many of his disciples went back and walked no more with him.
Oh, it was some people that deserted the Lord, huh?
It fell out, yeah.
They didn't want no more of that, Jesus. Go ahead.
Then said Jesus unto the 12, Will ye also go away? Then Simon Peter answered him, Lord, to whom shall we go? Thou hast the words of eternal life. And we believe and are sure that thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God.
There it is. How we going to go somewhere? Even though they didn't understand what he was really talking about at that time. They said, well, I know one thing for sure. Heck no, we ain't going nowhere after the stuff we done seen you do, Lord. But some people, it says, was offended. Let's go to John, and we got one more place after that. John chapter 10. We're going to read a few verses there. Because that's really what it come down to, brothers and sisters. You have to understand, as I mentioned earlier in the lesson, you got to know what you who you're dealing with.
Yep.
This is how you get to a place where Thomas, after Jesus came out the grave, he said, my God. That's the first thing he said. Remember when he said, show me your hands. I wish I knew what else do you remember what else he said? He said, my God and something else, though. He said, my God and my Lord. I don't know. We maybe another time. But one thing for sure, the first thing out of his mouth when he said, hey, put your fingers in here. Because he said, I ain't going to believe it's you until I see them prints and them nails in your hands. And Lord went ahead and made it happen for him. He said, nah, you going to believe me just because I did this? And he fell down and bowed down and said, my God. He might have said, my Lord, Brother Reggie, like you said. But bottom line is, that's how you get to that point. You got to understand who he is. Thomas he didn't misspeak or misspoke when he said that. Yeah, he's old doubting Thomas, but he wouldn't doubt no more on that day. My God. How many of us now, when we refer to Jesus as my God,
Right.
we better get it thick in these skulls real quick. I know it ain't. We've been programmed to think something else, like we leaving the Father out in the cold. No, sir, brothers and sisters. The Father's sent him to give him all the what? All the glory, brothers and sisters. Let's finish this, though. John 10:23. Go ahead.
And Jesus walked in the temple in Solomon's porch. Then came the Jews round about him and said unto him, how long dost thou make us to doubt? If thou be the Christ, tell us plainly.
They pressing Jesus, huh? How are you going to make us keep doubting who you is, man? Just tell us for real. Is you the Christ or not? Go ahead.
Jesus answered him, I told you, and ye believe not. The works that I do in my Father's name, they bear witness of me.
That's right. Then keep going.
But ye believe not, because ye are not of my sheep, as I said unto you. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. My Father which gave them me is greater than all, and no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand. I and my Father are one.
Uh-oh. I am my what?
I and my Father are one.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Verse 31.
Then the Jews took up stones again to stone him.
Oh, yeah, they knew what he meant when he said that. Like I said, Jesus might not have gone around, like I said, telling everybody, I'm God. You know I'm God, Dre.
Right.
You know I created everything you see, my man.
Right.
How many people would have believed a man in the flesh talking to somebody like that?
Not many.
No, but like I said, when you really, he knew you was trying to, I don't know if what this is right here, this exchange where man, tell us plainly, man. We really want to know, man.
Right.
Tell us who it is. He told him, hey, me and my Father are one. He had ways of telling them to where you can't make that no more out than what it is. It's some brothers and sisters, even in the truth right now and then. Well, he ain't mean like they one, like they the same. No, he don't mean one being. He mean they one. Right. They on the same page, same team, same status. But let's see. Go ahead.
Then the Jews took up stones again to stone him. Jesus answered them, many good works have I showed you from my Father. From which of those works do you stone me? The Jews answered him, saying, for a good work we stone thee not, but for blasphemy. And because that thou being a man makest thyself God.
Like I said, is Jesus going to tell him, no, that ain't what I meant? Go ahead.
Jesus answered them, is it not written in your law, I said, ye are gods?
Oh, he throwing him some curveballs now. You got to be a good Bible student to understand this. He quoting some scripture right here on them. Is it not written in your law that I said ye are gods? That's the little g with the S on it. But go ahead.
If he called them gods unto whom the word of God came, and the scriptures cannot be broken, say ye of him whom the Father hath sanctified, and sent into the world that blasphemeth, because I said, I am the Son of God. If I do not the works of my Father, believe me not. But if I do, though ye believe not me, believe the works, that ye may know and believe that the Father is in me and I in him.
That's it. Let's go to the last place, Hebrews 10. Hebrews 10. So Jesus, once again, it says that he was speaking in what? Parables to the people, right? Because you got to do the work to figure out who he is. But think about it, brothers and sisters. If Jesus just come and tell you, which one is worse? Jesus come and tell you he God and you reject him, or he tell you something that make it hard kind of for you to figure out and understand, and then you reject it. then it's not, as so bad. But if the Lord just came here and just walk in the door right now and just tell us, point at every single one of us, y'all believe I'm God? And if we don't believe he God, that's all bad right there.
That's bad.
Because he's just making it plain. He's just saying, I am that I am, huh?
Right.
Or whatever we can read in the scriptures, right? Mm-hmm. But he got these parables in here because he said, I think it's a place where he said, like, you put in the work so you can be converted, right? He said, I think he told the disciples, he said, I don't tell it to you in parables, but to the rest of them, everybody else, they got to put in the work to get the understanding on who I'm is. I make it plain to y'all. And even when he made it plain to them, they still did not believe him. And they walked around with him for 3+ years, right? They still had a challenge because this flesh is a what, brothers and sisters? It's a mother.
Yeah.
It's a mother. Let's go. Hebrews 10. This is the last place. We're going to read all this too. 1 through 31. And we're going to get out of here. Hebrews 10, or at least get out of the lesson. Let's see what's going on here. Go ahead.
For the law, having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never, with those sacrifices which they offered year by year continually, make the comers thereunto perfect.
Them sacrifices that Israel made don't make you perfect, right? Go ahead.
For then would they not have ceased to be offered, because that the worshippers once purged should have had more conscience of sins? But in those sacrifices, there is a remembrance again made of sins every year.
You remember you sacrificed that animal, that lamb or that goat the year before. It don't disappear. It don't clear your conscience. But go ahead.
For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sins. Wherefore, when he cometh into the world, he saith, Sacrifice and offering thou wouldest not, but a body hast thou prepared me. In burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin, thou hast had no pleasure.
The Lord ain't never had no pleasure in no animal getting killed for sins. Go ahead.
Then said I, Lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me, to do thy will, O God. Above when he said, Sacrifice and offering and burnt offerings, an offering for sin, thou wouldest not, neither hadst pleasure therein, which are offered by the law. Then said he, Lo, I come to thy will, O God. He take away the first, that he may establish the second. By the which we are sanctified through the offering in the body of Jesus Christ once and for all.
Come on.
And every priest standeth daily ministering and offering oftentimes the same sacrifices, which can never take away sin.
Never. That's what we read, huh? Go ahead.
But this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sins forever, sat down on the right hand of God, from henceforth expecting till his enemies be made his footstool. For by one offering he hath perfected forever them that are sanctified. Wherefore the Holy Ghost also is a witness to us. For after that he had said before, This is the covenant that I will make with them after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their hearts, and in their minds will I write them, and their sins and iniquities will I remember no more. Now where remission of these is, there is no more offering for sin. Having therefore, brethren, boldness to enter into the holiest by the blood of Jesus, by a new and living way, which he have consecrated for us, through the veil, that is to say, his flesh. And having an high priest over the house of God, let us draw near with a true heart, and full assurance of faith, having our hearts sprinkled from an evil conscience, and our bodies washed with pure water. Let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering, for he is faithful that promised. And let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as ye see the day approaching. For if we sin willfully, after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins, but a certain fearful looking for of judgment and fiery indignation, which shall devour the adversaries. He that despised Moses' law died without mercy under 2 or 3 witnesses. Of how much sore punishment, suppose ye, shall he be thought worthy, who have trodden under foot the Son of God, and have counted the blood of the covenant, wherewith he was sanctified, an unholy thing, and have done despise unto the Spirit of grace.
Verse 30.
For we know him that hath said, Vengeance belongeth unto me, I will recompense, saith the Lord. And again the Lord shall judge his people. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God.
Verse 36. Sorry, my brother. Okay. Go ahead. Skip down to verse 36, and this is it.
For ye have need of patience, that after ye have done the will of God, ye might receive the promise. For yet a little while, and he that shall come will come, and will not tarry. Now the just shall live by faith. But if any man draw back, my soul shall have no pleasure in him. But we are not of them who draw back into perdition, but of them that believe to the saving of the soul.
And that's honor the Son even as you honor the Father. And I hope you got some understanding in Jesus' name. You hanging in there, Brody?
Huh? Yeah. Today's Sabbath announcements. We welcome you. Hope today's lesson increase your knowledge of the Holy Bible. We have question and answer every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Telephone conference line. The number and access code are located at the top of the lesson, or see the live stream of question and answer at thatkingdomcome7.com. If you are interested in being baptized, please place your name on the list at the literature table. Remember to follow the dress code when attending our services. Men should remove all hats and all head coverings during service times. Women should wear a head covering such as a hat or a scarf during the service. Women should not wear tight-fitting pants or skirts or revealing clothing. Attire should be modest according to the Bible. If your child becomes restless during the Bible lesson, we encourage you to remove your child from the room until he or she has settled. Your tithes and offerings are always appreciated. Please place your tithes and offerings in an offering envelope and deposit in the offering box. Your cooperation is greatly appreciated. Again, thank you for coming, and we hope to see you on the next Sabbath. Peace.
Peace. Okay, brothers and sisters, I guess we'll close out and have lunch. I know I got to do better with having the upcoming announcements. I mean, Passover is here, right? The new year officially starts. I want to say, is it March
22nd, I think it is.
March 18th, the Lord's New Year. What was that?
I thought it was 22nd.
22nd? Well, it's towards the last week of March. I know that. And I know some of you brothers and sisters, how many people going up to Vegas? Oh, it got rough, huh? No, I just was asking because I think at the time when they were telling me about it, they said they expected some people from Oakland to come up. You guys went last year, huh? Yeah, so it's on somebody else to go up there. I know Al Jerome look like, what are you talking? A New Year? New Year's in January. No, the Lord keep everything real, my brother. Did I say your name right, too? Al-Janan, not Al-Jaron, Al-Janan. Yeah, I want to make sure I get it right. Yeah, the Lord's New Year. No, I don't think, did I say Al-Jaron? Oh, my almost, huh? I know it kind of came out like that. Kiara like, who Al-Jaron? No, we got the youngsters in here. But yeah, no, the Lord's New Year, the man got it set up where the New Year started in the winter, my brother. Right. That ain't how the Lord works, The Lord, even nature itself show you when the New Year started. It started in the springtime. That's when everything come back to life, right? Yeah. So you probably thinking like, what are we talking about? The New Year? These people have lost their mind. No, when God brought Israel out of Egypt, he brought them in at a certain time of the year. And it's coming up. So he said, that's going to be the start of your new year. He brought Israel out of Egypt right at the beginning of the year on God's calendar, of course, not man's. Rome came up with this foolishness that we got going on now where, January 1st, like I said, what's new about I don't want to get too deep on it, but, if you look at the calendar, right, you got 12 months, right? Yeah. So you look at October. What month is that on our calendar?
That's winter.
No, but what number month is it? Huh? What number month is October?
Oh, 11.
Close? 10. But what does Oct mean?
Oct.
Like if I say
like
octopus, if I say octopus, octagon. We're going to shut it down right there. But Oct mean 8, brother.
7 means octagon.
November, that mean 9. December mean 10. It was at one time, October was the 8th month. November was the 9th month. December was the 10th month, as it should be. Then January was the 11th month. Then February was the 12th month. And then that brings you to what we was talking about, like we finna celebrate. That's when the new year starts. And you can do a little homework on it. It ain't much to figure out. Yeah. See it? Well, it's more to it when the Lord say things like in the Bible, he says about knowing what season he going to return and knowing how he operate and how he move. Like I said, man, everything is out of whack. Even time, they got everything out of whack when it comes to the Lord. But with that being said, pray for one another. Any requests, Brother Lawrence?
I'm pretty good for that.
That's what's up, Hebrew. But pray for one another's families. I know I got some people probably off the top of the head. I'm trying to think. Keep praying for Dame down in L.A., Brother Damien, that you know that the Lord keeps strengthening him. I know pray for, 'cause I always forget to do it in L.A. Keep praying. Good Lord. Brain fart I'm finna have right here. Good Lord. Boy, don't keep this on tape right here. My dear brother. That's bad. That's bad, that's bad, that's bad. And I mentioned it to him. At least I was able to tell y'all to keep praying for him. Off the record, I'll tell you about it. That way I don't put my foot in my mouth. But I don't know what's going on with Jackie and Devonna. Brother Gill, thank you, Lord. Keep praying for Brother Gill and for his wife, Sister Joy. Because, see, now you see how I forget him when I'm in L.A. after the lesson. Because we found out yesterday, Lawrence and them, well, I probably had to read the text. We got a brother. You remember the brother's name, Lawrence, in the text, or Dre? I know y'all
Was it Griff or something?
Yeah, Brother Griff. Cancer that spread to his lungs. He went to the hospital yesterday, and they kept him. So we praying that the Lord, give him give him some more time, heal him if it's his will. Those ones just come to mind off the bat. I know the people, I guess I always think of the brothers and sisters that's really got some health issues going on, but Sister Debbie done bounced back strong, but I know she's got a lot of going on with her where they want her numbers to be in a certain range, and they making you fight, huh?
Yeah.
But praise the Lord, you'll get there, sis, and get that blood pressure under control. And my brother got still waiting on that knee surgery, huh?
Yeah, I go on the 16th to schedule it.
Okay, so let's pray for that brother, because there ain't nothing to give him, brothers and sisters. They knock you out to do these things nowadays, and you don't hear about it, but everybody don't wake up. So, you got to be on top of these things and make sure when you go in there, your blood pressure right. I'm just telling you, I've been there, brother. You done lost some weight. You ain't a big guy, boy. You go up in there if you want to. That's why they won't do them surgeries unless your stuff is together. Yeah, you got they make sure all your labs and all that right. Boy, they put you out and you go into cardiac arrest. Believe me, it's happened. But with that being said, we'll close out, brothers and sisters.